Hello there. This is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I have a video that isn't perhaps tailor-made for all of you. This is a video particularly suited for people who have been shattered fairly recently. I was shattered 9.5 months ago, and that feels recently to me. Depending on the severity of the shattering, 2 years can be early in the process. But generally, I'm talking about people who have just been run over by a truck and who are in all kinds of shock and all kinds of physiological PTSD symptoms. And I want to give you 15 tools or ways to survive. You notice that there's no mention of thriving here. People that are really recently shattered are not ready to thrive. Their goal is simply to get through the day and to pay the bills and to not lose their job and to not commit suicide. That's doing pretty good right after you've been shattered into a billion pieces. I also understand that there are many people who suffer from Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome who really don't ever have a one-time major shattered into a billion pieces experience. That their experience was really more one of day-to-day Chinese water torture, where they were tortured slowly and evenly, but there wasn't that one big shattering. Nonetheless, I think everybody watching the video can get something out of this, but my special empathy and care is going out to you newbies who have just been shattered beyond your imagination, and you think you've had a nightmare, but the nightmare isn't ending. And there you have pain in your chest, and your hands are trembling, and you can't sleep, and you can't stop your mind from racing about what it is that happened to you. I want to help you. I've been you. I've been where you're at, and consider this video me scooping you up and giving you a hug and wiping away your tears and giving you some tools that'll help you to survive. I just want to encourage you that this all will make sense to you someday, and that you'll reach a place in your life where you'll actually have some gratitude for having gone through it. And I just want to encourage you that you can do this. You can put one foot in front of another foot and get to where you need to go. I've quoted my guy from group in several videos, but it bears repeating. This guy went through horrific narcissistic abuse trauma, and I would ask him, what's a victory? And he says, just getting out of bed, 5 o'clock in the morning, pointing your feet toward the shower, getting in your car, going to work and working. That's a victory dance is really what that is. So I've got 15 mechanisms or guidance or feedback or tools to help you, dear ones, survive and hold on to yourself and not do anything super rash or super self-destructive in your life. The first one is I just really want to encourage you to show some vulnerability. After my shattering on April the 26th, I got up and went to work on April 27th, and I worked for 3 weeks, and I shouldn't have worked a second. I needed to be in a treatment center. I needed to be in therapists' offices. I needed to make my self-care my number one priority, but because of the walls around me and my own cluster of a few narcissistic tendencies, like being oblivious and being workaholic and driven, they insulated me from my pain. And I had a huge bear trap clamped onto my leg, and I was still dragging myself to work. Now, towards the end of that 3 weeks, I did cancel some sessions, even some at the last minute, because I knew I just couldn't do it. But I sat there and made myself work with couples where the issue was infidelity after I'd been traumatized with just the worst set of facts of my fiance's infidelity, and those facts shared ruthlessly and coldly and with no remorse. So the first thing is get vulnerable. Don't keep up a stiff upper lip. Don't maintain your role as Superman or Superwoman. Go to your best friends and cry your eyes out. Don't vent and triangle in order to try to bring revenge toward your significant other, but be real, be little. You will never be the same after this shattering. It's going to change you forever. It doesn't have to destroy you. It can make you healthier. It can make you better. But embrace the pain and start sharing the real you with people who can understand you, who won't judge you, and who will wipe away your tears. The second survival tool is don't be afraid of crying. Crying is how you heal. Crying is not a sense or a indication of weakness. It's an indication of great strength. You'll have waves of pain come up in your chest and belly, and whether you're with somebody, and I always preferred to have somebody with me, handing me tissues and wiping away my tears, but if you're alone, it works good too. Just cry, and that's how you heal. Little kid falls down, skins his knee. What does he do? He cries. And crying is God's way of allowing the woundedness to leave our bodies, one of the ways. The third bit of advice I have would be to take some time off of work. Don't try to be who you've always been. If you can afford to go to a treatment center, go, which is one of my next ones. If you can't, what I did for several months is I created my own inexpensive treatment center. I lived at a friend's house in St. Joe, Michigan. I went and saw an inexpensive EMDR therapist. I went and got massages and spa treatments, and then I saw my other therapist. And yeah, that was expensive, but it was probably a tenth of what I would have paid at a treatment center, and I got more treatment. So take time off of work, even if what you do is lay in bed and cry and go to the gym and exercise and go to church and have friends come over or just walk around the block. Whatever it is that comforts you, do that, but get a family leave and get paid for some off time. The fourth tool, and maybe the most important, is to watch YouTube videos on surviving narcissistic abuse syndrome. There are many of us out there, and find the ones that encourage you and comfort you. May not be me, I may not be your fave, and that's perfectly fine with me. You find the ones who talk to your soul. I've had so many people say, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, they're having a panic attack, the world seems ominous and scary, and they start watching my videos, and it's like I'm holding their hand, and I'm there for them, across the waters in Germany or, in different states. And that's an honor when I hear that. But I certainly did that. I certainly watched a lot of YouTube videos, and it's very helpful. The sixth thing is you need a treatment team. You need a support team. Put all their names on a text string and thread, I guess they call it. And once a day, twice a day, send a text to your team. And if there's 5 or 6 people on your team, some of them might be at work, some of them might be busy, otherwise occupied, but 1 or 2 of them might be able to respond to you on the spot. And if you have some especially close support people, you can text them or call them at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I can't tell you how many times I was just in a dark, dark place, and I would text my people, and I'd get a hold of one of them. We'd text back and forth, and it would help me tremendously. It would just help me to hold on. This is all about just holding on. The next one is, please do go to a treatment center if you can all afford it. And I'm not talking about a psychiatric treatment center where they have a medical model and they have Nurse Ratched and you're locked down in a very bare bones bed and all your dignity is taken away from you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about treatment opportunities by world-class therapists in nice facilities where there's equine therapy and dance therapy and yoga and opportunities to go to the gym, good food, good accommodations. Now, your insurance probably won't pay for this, but you know what? If it'll save your life, I think it's worth it. I recommend On-Site Treatment Center near Nashville, Tennessee. They saved my life, and they created a really safe environment for me. And I just highly recommend them. But there are many good treatment centers. The Meadows is a good one. So do your research and find where you can find a place to go. But you have been shattered. If you were run over by an actual truck and your body was in, 1,000 different pieces, you would go to the hospital. And going to a good treatment center is like going to the hospital for your soul. And I just highly recommend it. If you have to go in debt, so be it. If it'll speed your recovery along and save your life, it's worth every nickel. I got to tell you the truth. I had spent all my money on other forms of treatment, 2 programs at on-site, and then I needed to go into the treatment center there that was a little bit more like a hospital and more expensive, and it's called Milestones, and I didn't have the money, and I didn't have even room on credit cards, and I contacted my 25-year-old son, and he's a saver and he's an earner, and he has more money than God, and he wrote me a check for $16,000 so that I could not go home and so that I could stay in that treatment center. So find it, borrow it, beg for it, don't steal it. The next thing is just understand that the wound you have is very physiological, that you need to treat your body. So do things that treat your body. Take long walks. Go out in nature. At one particularly low point in my recovery, I see a beach scene in the background. At one particular low point, I went to the beach for a week, and I walked along the beach, and that helped to heal me. And do other things to aid your physiology, like exercise and therapeutic massage and yoga and meditation. Lately, I've been juicing to add some energy to my system, to put a little pep in my step. So treat the physiological symptoms in your body and use EMDR therapy, and there's other new therapies for post-traumatic stress that can speed the process along. Number 8, again, please don't send me letters about this, comments, but I pray, if you don't have to believe in my God, but if you believe in a God or even a higher power, pray to your higher power. But it's just the wounded little kid in your spirit that is just reaching out and saying, please help me. And that's good for your mental health, whether there is a God or whether there isn't a God. I happen to believe that there is one, and it gave me solace and comfort when I was in my darkest hour to call out on my relationship with God and sort of put myself in his hands. So number 9, don't be ashamed of taking medication. You're going to need some medication, and if you need some medication for anxiety because your system is racked with anxiety right now, don't worry about, it might become addictive. That's not why you're getting it to become addictive. You're getting it in order to survive and in order to deal with a very real physical symptom. So if you have to take a couple of Xanax a day for 3 or 4 months or 6 months, that's not the end of the world. And you certainly should be on an antidepressant that agrees with your system. Number 10 is listen to audiobooks. And the best one I can recommend for you for your early shattering is Psychopath Free by Jackson McKenzie, because it'll help you understand what just happened to you. And it's a very concise book. I like to listen to it. I download it from audible.com, but it'll help you immensely. And listen to other books on healing trauma by Bessel van der Kolk or by Stephen Levine that address how trauma is healed and worked through. Number 11 is take time to rest. I had a particularly hard week this week, lots of clients, issues at work. I've had a nagging cough, as you guys have noticed from my videos. And I've got a party tonight that I really want to go to. And I may make the party, I may not, but I did get in a 3-hour nap. I got up and putzed around, and back to bed I went because I'm not healed yet. I'm only at 9.5 months, and I still have some residue of that, otherworldly, off the charts exhaustion that you experience. And I get to a Saturday or a Sunday, sometimes I just crash and burn and spend the days in bed in order to take care of my body. So you're going to need lots of rest. Make time for rest. Number 12 is know your limitations. Early on, I was so glad that I didn't have that many clients. I'd see one client and I need to lay down and take a nap and have a good cry. And I don't think God gives you more than you can handle, but he comes awful close with this, doesn't he? But yeah, try to limit what you can do. Any major project around the house I got help with. There were so many things I asked for help for because I knew there was no way I could quite do it. Do seek therapy, number 13, but be careful. Make sure your therapist at least understands trauma and at least understands narcissistic personality disorder and other cluster B disorders. Because if you go in with somebody who just judges your behavior and your affect and your mental condition, and they don't get the trauma that you went through, they're going to stick you with a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. And you're probably not. And they're going to judge you, and you're going to be fighting them the whole time, and that's not what you need. You need to be validated. I started with a new therapist just this week. I fired the one who was giving me the bad diagnosis and the lack of empathy. And this lady had not heard of Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome, the new therapist. But she looked at me and she said, "I'm so sorry that you had to go through this." And I wept like a baby. And I could tell that she genuinely cared about me, and I could tell that she genuinely understood what I had been through. So they don't have to be experts in narcissistic abuse syndrome. They just have to understand trauma, understand narcissism, and be willing to learn and have a lot of empathy and not have preconceived diagnoses in their head. Number 14, part of surviving is to talk about and be open about any suicidal thoughts that are lurking in your mind, because most of us do have those. I did. I sort of lived on the brink of suicide for months. Not to where I ever went out into the garage and started up the car or anything like that. But there probably wasn't too many days from after I got out of the treatment center and before I got out of the treatment center and now, well, probably the last 3 months I haven't thought about it, but there were months that it was always in my mind at least once a day. So don't feel like your therapist is going to lock you up or your friends or family are going to lock you up if you talk about it. The people who talk about it probably aren't going to do it. It's the people who hold it inside who wake up dead in the garage. They don't wake up at all, actually. So talk about your suicidal thoughts. And the last one, don't be around unsafe people. Don't communicate with unsafe people. The hardest thing about my week this week is I'm dialoguing, I'm storming with various people in my life and people I care about, people who are good people, who for whatever reason just can't acknowledge what happened to me in my narcissistic abuse, and who are getting defensive in their interactions with me, which is re-traumatizing for me. And I believe I can handle that at week 9 and month 9.5, but at week 2, week 3, week 4, don't do it. If somebody's a bully, a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath, and they have an agenda to not listen to you, to shame you, please protect yourself and just get away from those people and only be with people who see you, care about you, love you, hear you, and can nurture and protect you. So, again, I would like to send out some virtual hugs to you people out there. I've been you. There's a big part of me that still is you. And I'm sending you love. I'm sending you the spirit of survival and the spirit of a tiger and a spirit of courage that you can hang on. Every day you wake up and you put your feet on the floor and you do what you need to do is a major victory. Every day that you go to sleep at night and you're still alive and you still have a job and you haven't killed anybody and you haven't killed yourself, that's a major victory. So God bless you people. I do care about you. Be kind, be gentle, be gracious, be forgiving, be loving to yourself. Take good care of yourself. If you haven't joined our YouTube channel, if you do that, then you'll be notified every time we make a video to help comfort and bless you. And also I've got some good books on familytreecounseling.com. Be gentle with yourself. Take the very best care of yourself. You've gone through trauma, and people may not understand around you that you've been run over by a truck. If you had broken bones and you're all bruised and you were in a coma, you were in a hospital, people would get it. Emotionally, that's you, but physically, you don't look all that destroyed, so you may not get the empathy that you really need. So learn how to give yourself love and kindness and empathy. You're going to make it. We're all in this together. God bless you.